Got Craig against Shawn here going into this round. So the players actually don't have the same record because Craig has 2 wins and Shawn is 1-1, and he's been paired up against Craig here because there's just an odd number of 2-0 players. So this is going to kind of be a make or break game for Shawn. So I think that adds some interest here. Interesting and different teams from these gentlemen here. So Wind Rider is making a comeback, and I kind of imagine it is the Hulk solution. And Shawn has his Hulk, so this will probably come into effect. Shawn is running the Johnny Swarm team, as Nick was calling it earlier. Oh, sorry, my mistake. He's running lots and lots of bolts. So Human Torch playing with fire is one of the only two-cost bolt characters in all of Dice Masters. The other one is also from AVX, and it is Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider has a total filling cost of 6, however, so most players opt instead to use the Human Torch. It's a pretty big trade-off to lose such a fantastic 4 cost, but there's other good characters for bolts at 3 and 4 cost, like Cheetah, who Shawn is including, Blue Beetle, who Shawn is including, as well as the ever-beloved Gabi. So we're going to see a ton of ramp out of Craig. He has the Morphing Jar Canopic Jar from Yu-Gi-Oh! And that is the 1-cost mask character. He is the cheapest source of masks in the game. And already we see that Craig is starting to use Professor X. Okay, so here we go. Craig is rolling up his dice. 6 dice, and okay, we got a wild mask fist and 3 dice that are getting rerolled. I think I saw more fists in there, but I'm not really sure. Shield and fist and sidekick. So it's really interesting to note that Craig has 2 energy fixers on his team. He has Professor X and he has Blizzard Dragon, and Shawn has 1 Resurrection. This actually turns into a scenario where Shawn has a theoretical advantage because he has the ability to show up like a rock star kind of and get these 3 things and still have 8 character spots on his team. He has no global abilities on his character dice. It's an opportunity cost, and it is one that could pay out in his favor in this match. We'll have to see exactly what happens. What's interesting is, despite the fact that Shawn's playing a Bolt team, likely centered around that 5-cost Firestorm, or even the Blue Beetle, it still comes down to, hey, I can't forego Black Widow. As a 2-cost fist character, she is just too inescapably good. Really a great one to go for it. Wow. So I'm talking all about how Shawn's like a Bolt guy, and he's like, no, this game I'm going to get all the fists. And so he's got his 1 Hulk. In case you can't see, the Hulk that Shawn is using is actually Jade Giant. He is going to be very selective in what he knocks out. For now, he can only knock out level 1 characters, but there's a polymorph in the mix, so he could be in a position to spin himself down and before he takes damage from something. Shawn does not, however, have the ability to do that right away because he has no energy in his reserve pool. He doesn't have ramp. He doesn't have a polymorph spin play. He doesn't have blue eyes to knock something. That's not good on your opponent's turn anyway most of the time, unless it's on the Black Manta team. But that's a story for a different day. So Craig has a lot of energy. It's really helpful for him that he has the Morphing Jar to not whiff on his ramp here. So he's got 3 sidekicks. He's like trying to figure out what to do with them because, oh, that one sidekick combined with the bolt is sort of like 2 energy for Blue Eyes, but you get 1 energy next turn. It's for a seemingly straightforward ability, the economic implications are actually pretty complicated. I think it's part of what I like about it. Whether that's a good thing to like or not, you can debate with me, I guess. So Craig opted to reroll those mask energy. You can just pound someone in the head with Morphing Jar. He is a barrel of damage, though he's no barrel behind the door. Shout out to my Yu-Gi-Oh players out there. So Craig is trying to figure out where do these energy need to get spent. One of the things that's just really, really good in conjunction with Morphing Jar and Zarina that we saw earlier today is, of course, Human Torch. And Craig has decided not to use that in this game. I think it could really just be a case of win more. You don't need to. And in a world where Hulk is so omnipresent, maybe we just don't bother. And I think that's a perfectly reasonable conclusion to come to. Fielding these characters, though, if Craig attacks, the sequence would be Shawn spins down his Hulk, then he chooses to not spin him down again, takes the 2 damage, and KOs the character of his choice. Potentially, he also blocks, KOing whatever he blocks, and another character of his choice. Ooh, it's big. Okay, Craig's working through what he wants to do. So he's kind of looking like, oh wait, which Hulk is that? Because if it's the other one, it's much better against Zarina. So the red tornado we just had up on the screen is a great example of cards that are better when there's no Professor X. So Shawn is kind of managing for that expectation. He only plays 1, I believe. Yeah, he only plays 1 red tornado die, so he hasn't purchased one yet. Okay. So Shawn takes damage, KOs a Black Widow. Okay, so both Black Widows end up getting KO'd if Shawn just ends up taking the damage to the head, and Morphing Jar, I believe, got blocked. Okay. So I see the mask. That mask is not going to get rerolled, but we have got 2 shields and a fist. Those are getting rerolled almost certainly. Oh, what do I know? Here, it's almost always Zarina time, isn't it? Let's flash back a little more than a year, and if you had said to me, "Yeah, Jimmy, you're gonna start using the word Zarina multiple times a week," I would not have any reason to believe you. Gabi, yeah, it's weird, but oh, whoa, that's Black Widow Killer Instinct. I did not notice that. Oh, so Black Widow Killer Instinct is really, really good with that other Hulk. This was one of the things that, before kind of tapping into Zarina, we had messed around with, and it's really cool to see Shawn using something unexpected like that. There was something someone had written about Dice Masters I was reading, and they said that, like, hey, everyone just plays around Green Goliath, but I wasn't using Green Goliath. I was using Jade Giant, and I wrecked him. Like, good on you. And you can't always depend on people to make the error for sure, but it's always great to have the opportunity to capitalize on someone's lack of attention to detail. Okay. I love all the subtitles on Cheetah. I think she's one of the most interesting subtitle characters. And of course, I'm going to draw a blank on one of the three as I try and do this now. But Cursed Archaeologist is a cool one. Powered by Urkartaga is another. And as I promised, the third I can't remember. They all strike me as, I think it might be a real name. They all strike me as like, wow, that's really flavorful. Okay. So we're still far away from either of these players getting enough damage to the other. Shawn is just gonna try and play a control game here, like, hey, I'm gonna purchase some good dice, and my Hulk is gonna KO your stuff. Pretty interesting. This sort of strategy that Shawn's employing here does not work against teams of Mr. Fantastic. They say, fine, I'll spend a mask and you're going to attack with Hulk and I will take a bunch of damage and try and just come back at you and deal with it. You know, oh, maybe you'll roll the energy. Maybe you'll be forced to pay 3 to field him. And that's almost a penalty in some situations. Dealing damage. Oh. So Lantern Power Ring is a really interesting choice for Craig to bring to the table here. I haven't seen it matter yet, but considering there's Cheetah, considering there's Gabi, it's pretty easy to get some solid action damage through to your opponent with that. Interestingly enough, it doesn't work so well against teams like we saw like Julie's team earlier today, because even though you could take advantage of her Red Dragon Global, what you won't be able to do is deal her a bunch of damage for the character she has out. She simply doesn't have the characters for you to get that kind of swing going for you. Okay, so Shawn is still on point with his blocking game. And Hulk is sticking it out. So Craig has yet to purchase a die that is going to really be like, oh, aha, that's the solution to Hulk. So there's some question of what's going on here. Okay, so I think there was a question as far as like, oh, how does the damage work? Well, all the damage happens at the same time, and then the Hulk's ability kicks in to KO Morphing Jar if Morphing Jar was not already KO'd by Black Widow. I always like to picture some of the scenarios that make up the Dice Masters combat. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have Black Widow and the Morphing Jar attack somebody. You know, she just busts into her room and opens the jar. Really just a little bit silly, but pretty cool. Oh, I made some comment before about Craig not having purchased the die that was the answer, and he purchased a Wind Rider, which somehow escaped me. Wind Rider is really risky against Hulk, and it's always funny to me because, oh, you succeeded, fantastic, you know, thumbs up, pat on the back. You failed, and you are actively punished for it. If you completely fail, it's just a waste. But if you half fail, you successfully reroll the other character, but not Hulk. Was approached earlier in the weekend about the Dice Masters Streaming at Nationals, and someone thanked me and said, "Hey, I was unable to make it, but I got to watch my friends play, and it was just so cool. Thanks to you guys for running the stream." And like, hey, thank you for all being so supportive and tuning in and watching the videos when they went up onto YouTube, and just making Dice Masters the beloved game that it is. So let's see what these guys are up to next. Okay, so Professor X. Oh no, that's Resurrection. No, I guess that was... Okay, I guess that was plus 6. So it's during the other player's turn. Okay, so you're probably hearing HeroClick's players have time called. Really cool that, you know, we're in the middle of the game hall here at Origins, and off to my right, I've got the players playing HeroClix and the players playing Dice Masters in this highly competitive tournament setting. And off to my left, I have people receiving game demos, and it's the whole, like we talk about the road to Worlds, and the road ends here, but it begins here as well, because the players who are getting demos today, for all we know, they could be returning next year to our World Championships, and they too could rise to the champion level. And I'm really excited for new players. Like we hope that we're giving a better game for you guys as new players this year than the new players last year. And part of what's able for us to deliver on that is the awesome players that we've got right now. Wow. That is a really big field of dice that Craig's got there, and Wind Rider did not work. When the first Wind Rider doesn't work, purchase a second one. That's my my insert into Craig's autobiography when it comes back to this match. Okay. So attacking here is critical because you just need to constantly apply the pressure. So Shawn goes to roll down his die and has a bit of a slip up. Okay, so Shawn is going to be blocking somebody, I'm sure. He just played too defensively of a game up to this point that like Craig probably has the read on him to know what's going to happen. Okay. So Black Widow goes away. Or sorry, Storm goes to the use pile. The damage goes through, and people get KO'd by the Hulk. Okay, shake it up. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 8 dice this turn. Wow, that is quite a few. Okay, so he's keeping 2, rerolling 6. Just overall, you have to say, wow, that must be a roll you were pretty unhappy with. Okay, so Shawn is stepping into the aggressive role here. He's saying, "Hey, here's my Firestorm. I'm gonna start going after those bolt characters soon." And normally you'd say, "Well, how much time could he possibly have left?" But the way this game is playing out, he's got his time. He does have his time, you know. Craig's applying the pressure, and Shawn is playing as defensively as possible. You almost wonder if perhaps that weapon 10 slot was instead like a Trent or a human paladin or a vibranium shield. Like, would Shawn be in a more ridiculously turtle defensive position? Human paladin's actually super cute with the Hulk, because you will take the minimum amount of damage to still get your benefits. I haven't seen it yet, but it's one of those things I get excited about, and I hope the players will end up doing it for me so I can put it on camera and get excited for you. Whoa, two Wind Riders. I love rolling dice, but I also love field removal, but at the same time there's the joy of it's making my opponent roll the dice. Okay, So okay, so the order that Craig does this in is interesting. He's gonna field the Black Widow first. Oh man, that is really rough stuff. I sort of disagree with that because if let's say he rolled Firestorm successfully but not Hulk, Black Widow could be at risk of getting KO'd. Okay, Hulk is gone. Jay Giant is in the used pile, and Shawn has taken some damage there. There's just such a, we saw the big swing from Valley in that one, and you have to say to yourself, there's no reason Shawn couldn't do something similar. Okay, so Professor X number 1, Professor X number 2. Okay, so we got 5, 6, 7 of Shawn's psychic dice are showing. So the fact that Shawn's gonna be able to spin characters down is gonna help mitigate that damage from Zarina. And blocking. Okay. It appears as if... Oh, yeah, so Shawn chump blocked the Storm. I really like that play because he gets to reroll his sidekick, and his opponent will not get to reroll Storm right away. As exciting as this event is, I still think that we're in the calm zone, that many players have not been eliminated, but no player has locked in their success and their invitation to play at the World Championships through playing at these events. Some players who intend to be here haven't even shown up yet, and there's just still so much more room for the tempo to build and people to get excited to roll the dice and see where they'll end up this weekend. Okay, so 2 damage. Oh no, sends Storm to level 1 with Killer Instinct. Killer Instinct, the AVX only metagame, is a big want for many of us because it's like, oh sure, I can put your beast to level 1 and he can have that awesome burst ability. And why did I want to do that again? But with the release of other cards, it's become a lot more interesting, and Zarina is still probably a good consideration for a leader in the pack. Okay. So we just saw a resurrection play from Shawn that he's been able to get a cheated eye from his used pile to his prep area. Okay, so Professor X Global. Not seeing a lot of morphing jar antics like I thought I might originally. The fact that Craig is just keeping so many of his dice in play kind of limits the silliness. I think the community's just gotten really, really good at knowing how full that bag should ever end up getting as far as character dice that you're buying off of your cards. I really have to say that I think that's one of the learned skills that I'm most impressed by from our players. Yeah, I really like Greg keeping the morphing jar's energy. Like, you're not gonna win the game this turn, and I mean, I shouldn't say that. you could win the game this turn, but you're just as likely to win because of Relentless and the Morphing Jar being 2 energy as you are from the Morphing Jar being a 4 energy attacker. Rolling that single mask face is not catastrophic, but it's a pretty big groaning moment. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so Shawn is at 7 from not rolling characters. So Relentless stops that character from blocking, and then Craig pushes for game. Okay, so what great play from these guys. They were both really friendly. I was talking to them before the game, happy to come on camera, and so Craig solidifies himself as being the 3-0. I'm going to return the team sheets to these players, and we will go from there.